wakes you up.
Oh, yes. Good morning. What are you laughing at? What? At least you're happy.
That's right. Getting your morning groove on.
That's right.
Good morning. Welcome to Venture X Studios in Frisco, Texas, bringing to you live Moneylinc, brought to you by Interlinc with that married couple. Holy cow, get your seats ready to go. We've got Gail and Steve.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Bright and early.
It is.
Oh,
It
yes,
is.
Yes. Welcome back. I'm happy that you guys are joining us today. Hey, I see Michelle on the feed, and I see Fred. Oh, that's awesome. Hello, good morning, you guys. So we've decided that Moneylinc needs to have, JP, Kathy, and the crew has the crew. So Moneylinc needs to have that. So you guys are going to be called the Maniacs. How do you like that?
I think that's an awesome name.
So JP came up with that.
I know.
I'm loving it. So we are loving our Maniacs on our feed. They're pretty awesome. So everybody on the feed, you know what? Tell us how happy you are today. We really want to hear the good things that have happened in your life. And if you have any questions for us, we would be happy to answer those questions. If we don't get them to them today, maybe we'll get to them next time. But go ahead and ask any financial questions you'd like to ask.
So the Moneylinc Maniacs.
Yes,
That's way cool.
it is way
I
cool.
think so.
Can I be a maniac?
Absolutely.
I am a maniac.
Ask us some
Courtney
questions.
I don't know.
tells
Wait
me
a
I'm a maniac.
minute. Should we have a conference first?
You might have
For
conferenced
me,
on that one
maybe.
before you allow me
Okay.
in the club.
Okay, you can come in. You can come in.
Okay,
That's
fair enough.
Everybody else, though, you can come in. With JP, we're going to talk about. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
That's all right. You're gonna look at
You
me
might be
like
one of the
maniac.
top maniacs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, there
way
you go.
way top.
Out of control, anyways.
Yes,
That's for sure.
yes, it's true.
Kind of out of
Sure.
control. Kind of like your mornings.
They can happen. Yeah.
Married life is interesting. At that, I'm going to leave it at that. Bye.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say other things happen, but I'm not going to. Yeah,
No.
I'm not going to go there.
It's all how you start the morning.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Mhm.
Coffee for me.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Yeah. Coffee's good.
Coffee.
Coffee's always good to start the day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So don't forget, last time we asked you guys at the last video we did that you need to go ahead and name our financial mountain, which we're going to go over in a little bit so you can kind of get an idea. So when that comes up, I'll remind you to go ahead and name our mountain in the comments, and we're going to give a $25 gift card to do that. For the people that come up with the one that we actually pick, we're going to go ahead and give you a $25 gift card. And we're going to have Steve's Swami moment now, too.
The Swami moment. Here we go. The forecast, the prognosticator.
He's excited, I can tell.
I can
Going to get him a little
I can
Swami
tell.
hat. He's going to love the Swami hat.
Here's the quick end to that one. I have no idea.
No, you do.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try.
I'm
I'll
going to
try.
get
I'll do
him
my
a
best.
I'm going to get him a crystal ball. It's going to be good.
Mhm.
Going to love this. Right, Steve?
Oh, it'll be fun.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
Yes. So, your Swami moment. Tell me about. Well, we actually had this question. So,
Yeah, we actually did.
what do you think, or what do you think is going to happen with gas prices?
Well, gas prices. Well, for the most part.
I wasn't done.
Okay.
And why?
I'll be quiet now. See how good the Swami is. I couldn't predict she wasn't done. Okay, so with gas prices, we expect them to kind of be at the line they're at. I mean, at the level they're at for a little bit. For one reason, we've been producing our own fuel, our own gas. We've been pumping our own. So we're less
And you're
dependent
just
on.
talking about like at the pump, not
Yeah.
like price per barrel, but
No, just at the pump. I
Okay.
mean, one of the biggest things that transitioned is our, not dependence on foreign oil. And that's one of the things. But just also with this pandemic, I mean, we're just not using as much fuel as we used to.
that's true.
I mean,
That's
it's
true.
just not anywhere
There's
near
supply
what
and
it was.
demand.
There's supply and demand. And we've got plenty of reserves in play, emergency reserves and things like that. So for the foreseeable future, I just can't see where there'd be a reason for that to spike because there just isn't that demand, as you said. So
Right.
we should be okay. Now, depends on what state you're in, depending on what price is
Taxed.
good for you, But
What price is taxed?
yeah, what price, how much of that is taxed?
Because I mean, you did do your Navy days in California.
Oh
so-
yeah. No, I spent many, many decades in Southern California, and that has a tendency to have a little bit more, few more pennies to the pump than some other places. But
True.
but it's all going to be the same. All of it's going to come from the same area, and we really won't have that much of a demand on that. It could, we finally get through this pandemic and everybody get back to normal, and we're traveling the same way.
Do you
Different
think it'll
story.
be a new normal?
I sure hope not, but it could be. It could be.
I think there's going to be some changes.
There will be some
that become
changes.
normal.
Whatever's changed, and that's the thing about this, and we don't know what that's going to look like. None of us do.
No.
But you know how like after 9/11 we never traveled the same way in an airport?
That's true.
It never was the same.
Right.
Now we had security checks and we have all these things. I just kind of feel that whatever we're going through now, it's kind of that transformative moment. Is it for the better or not? Who knows? But it's going to be different.
Right.
How we interact, how we use these things, the businesses that are used,
Right.
things like that. This was a changing moment.
Do you think there are going to be a lot more companies doing at home rather than
Well, we're seeing
in
that.
person? Like that. Like, do you think buildings are going to end up causing like an issue? And,
Well, here's the thing about that, and I was reading up on this somewhere, is that on the first side, you're always going to have the accountants.
right.
The bean counters are going to be the bean counters. They're going to say, what's the cheapest way to get from point A to point B, no matter what.
You
you
mean
know,
in the structure of a company.
In the structure of a company.
Okay.
Absolutely. And these, so they sent everybody to work from home.
Right.
And all of a sudden, well, maybe we don't have to pay the same for rent in big office buildings anymore. And look at that. We can do this remotely and look
That's right.
how this is working. Here's the interesting thing that happened, though, and it's all based on the personality of people. I mean, for those that work from home or have worked from home mostly with their jobs
Yeah.
before the pandemic, that's just what they did. I mean, they were traveling salespeople or whatever. They're used to it. They know how to motivate themselves to get up out of bed, and your commute is now to go get some coffee and then go to your desk and
Right.
put in a full day's work.
Right. In
Oh,
their pajamas.
In their pajamas.
Yeah.
But here's what ended up happening as far as they're learning this. Not everybody is self-motivated on their own
Oh,
to
that's
get
true.
up out of bed, go get their coffee, and then go to work. They might hang out by the TV for a while. They might make a personal call. And so some of these companies have been noticing a decline in productivity.
I could see that.
Whereas when you're forced to get in a car,
Yeah.
go to the office, and then your peers are there, I mean,
Yeah, the other day I
it's a
was
different
running
thing.
an errand, and it was kind of interesting. It was like 2:00 on a Tuesday. I drove past a driving range, and it was packed.
Yeah.
2:00 on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So how many of those people were supposed to be working from home?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I think it's going to kind of be a modification
You
of
didn't
that.
mention the name of the driving range, right?
I didn't say.
No.
Okay, because my girlfriend will be looking for me then, because I was one out there doing that.
Yeah, you know.
Are you
At
serious?
2:00 on a Tuesday? Come on.
I was supposed to be at work. I had clubs in the back.
You see? And
Just had to hit a few balls, and then you're good.
there's my point. That's why
Yeah.
remote work is not good for you.
You were working. You were like on your phone, right? And then you
Mhm.
did. Okay, hit that. Okay.
Yeah. That's,
Absolutely
Yeah.
Yes.
not.
oh, no. So it'll change. I think it'll be a modification of those.
Oh, I love those sound bites.
Sorry, kid with a new toy.
That's
You're
right.
both in trouble. Just saying.
Well, let's switch into how personal do you take it, or we take it, I guess, for taking care of our clients and our company and.
Well, with this stuff, I mean, and everybody's going to be different. You know, it's you get a feel when people are out there looking for possible professional advice, and we always tell them that is you first have to find someone that believes what you believe in.
Right.
You know, we're kind of on the template that don't ever don't work with somebody that's forcing their ideas on you.
Yeah.
There's got to be a compliment. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? I mean, it's
Or it
just
doesn't
kind of
work.
yeah, you can feel that in your gut, whether
Yeah.
that's like they're pulling you to their line of thinking
Yeah.
and it's really out of your wheelhouse, and you know, you just feel that. And so when you're working with someone, whoever it would be, in almost any profession, I would say, whether it's, you know, your CPA or doctor or, you know, financial advisor,
Right.
you know, you got to make sure that you believe the same thing, that they're more of a partner
Right.
to kind of help you get healthier. You know, in this case, maybe financial health.
Yeah, I mean, to me, your financial advisor and you need to have a collaborative effort, because it's not your financial advisor can say all they want to about what should happen, but you have to implement it. So
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah, and that's why that having similar philosophies is important, because if the plan adapts to you more to the way you are naturally,
Right.
the more you're going to stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, if it doesn't, you know, there's things that I get maybe forced to do and I don't like it. So I'm not going to, maybe I don't do it with the same intensity. You know, you just kind of, or you find ways to get out of it. It's
Yeah.
that's just human nature. But when we talk to families, and you know this, Gail, is that we also take a look at how serious this really is. You know, and it
It's
really
huge.
truly is.
It really is.
I mean, yeah, it's
their life.
it completely is.
Yeah.
It really is. And, you know, some advisors may take this as that, some don't. I mean, who knows? And that's why we always talk to people that, you know, one of the first filters, you know, are you working with a fiduciary?
Right.
You know, that's there as at least a first filter. You know, are they legally obligated to work in your best interest? But
Which is the definition of
yeah,
fiduciary.
yeah, it's the definition of fiduciary. But as you know, you can't legislate morality.
That's true.
You can put all the laws in place. You know, people are going to be people. And so you'll get a feel as you work with people or work with whoever, whether they're obligated to have your best interest, but do they try to do their best to achieve that?
Right.
Are there going to be mistakes? Yeah, we're all going to make some mistakes.
You're going to have to trust your financial advisor. And if you don't trust them, they shouldn't be
Yeah.
They shouldn't be your financial advisor.
And you hear all those bad stories. I mean, you remember that one person that we had in the very early stages of, about 10 years ago, was it? They came to us and we had asked them, well, you know, who was your last advisor?
Oh, yeah.
You know, to see where they were in a comfort zone.
Yeah, they were not comfortable at all.
And I'm not kidding, guys. They looked at us and they said, my last advisor was Bernie Madoff. And that's where you start. And you know,
For those of you that don't know who Bernie Madoff is, he's now in jail.
yeah, he had one of the largest Ponzi schemes in the history of Ponzi schemes. You know, just robbed billions.
And people lost it.
Yep.
Because of it.
Yeah, and so those kind of things. But when we sit down with a family and we do take the seriousness of what that is, and not to be a downer, it's a morning show and all those things, but just understand that we realize that when someone walks into our offices, they're basically saying, here's my money, here's what we have,
right?
Here's all we have.
Right.
Please do your best to take care of us and not let us down.
That's right.
And we take that I mean, you know this, sometimes we're literally losing sleep over it, because some of these, you know, they're at a certain stage in life, you know.
Right.
You know, how do you keep this ball moving forward?
Yeah, there have been times that I've woken up and I'm like, why are you awake? Well, I was working on, you know, so-and-so's case in my head, so I just woke up and decided to write it down.
Yeah, for those of you who might relate to this, I'm one of those guys that, I go to sleep, but I'm still working on the problem inside my head because it's a puzzle.
Yep. And
sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes not so good thing, because you do need to rest. But when some of these situations get that critical, I try as best as possible to put the pieces together for them. But that's kind of how we look at it,
Right.
And are we going to be perfect? No advisor is going to be perfect. No CPA is going to be perfect. No, doctor. It
Right.
just
But
doesn't work that
the plan
way.
we come up with is
Yeah.
going to be solid.
But what we put together, does it have enough backstops on it that if
Right.
one part doesn't work as expected, there's another backstop in there
That's right.
to keep that machine moving forward.
Well,
And that's
part
what we
of
try to do.
The strategy is to make sure there's a
Yeah.
backup to the backup, the backup.
Yeah. And that's more like, looking at it in basically, you always hear these terms, right, Gail, like holistic financial planning.
Right.
What the heck does that mean? Just
Holistic.
whole thing, how does it feel? And, and we'll go over that.
That word
in-
just doesn't, like it
does-
just drops.
It
Like,
does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like flat.
Yeah.
Well, we're a holistic planner. Great.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel that rhythm.
Got the
coming
Zen
through.
going.
Exactly. We feel that.
Okay. When did we transition to Eastern holistic medicine approach?
When we
Joe?
started
Exactly.
talking about holistic.
Yeah, got the sage
Yeah,
burning. You're good.
Wait a minute. That did not come from India.
No,
That sounded like that was Southside. Just saying.
it could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we do. And as we answer questions for you guys and the maniacs out there, we'll do our best to, give you some general advice. There's a real sticky part, and this is kind of where we got to be. It's not going to be like, and you would know this, Gail, it can't be like precise.
No, but we can give kind of roundabout things. We
Sure.
can also like give examples.
Yeah,
I
we can
mean,
give general examples
absolutely.
and things like that. There's some things that our licenses, allow us to do and not talk about it. If we're more one-on-one, then we can go more in depth on those things. But
True.
we'll guide you in just general ideas. But if you have any questions at all, and we'll answer them the best that we're able to. And just please.
give us as much detail as possible in the comments so that
Yep.
we can answer them as best as possible. If for some reason your question, like if we answered just that, it could hurt something else, we'll tell you.
Yep.
So that way we can make sure that those questions are as clear and precise as possible and our answers are as good as they can be.
Yeah.
And if they're not a part of the Maniacs yet, they can go to the link tree.
Yes, they can.
Right there on the screen.
Which is on the screen.
Yep. Hashtag JP Kathy and the crew on the JP Kathy and the crew network. You can sign up for all the social media that carries Moneylinc on Thursdays from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30.
Be a maniac. Be a maniac.
Okay, I got to go back to engineering again.
That's my better half, ladies and gentlemen, right there. That's why I
Everybody
don't.
wants to be a maniac.
That's why I don't need my morning coffee.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
right.
I'm ready to go.
I'm Susie Sunshine.
That's right.
That's what Michelle Butler calls me.
She calls you Susie Sunshine.
No, she calls me Sunshine.
Sunshine.
And I call her Moonshine.
Why?
Every morning.
Should I ask?
No.
Okay. We'll let that go. Hi, Moonshine.
Hi, Moonshine. Michelle Moonshine. All right. So let's go over tank.
That or the mountain? What do you want to do?
Oh, let's do mountain first. You're
Okay,
right.
just kind of like I hate to call it a review, but but this is really what the $25 gift card is
Absolutely. So
for. And we're
we need
kind
to
of,
understand what it is in
Yeah.
order to name it.
I mean, we only have one name so far, and that was the Pyramids of Giza. Was that kind of it?
Yeah. It was a good name.
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan.
It's a good name, but
Especially
he
if we
can't
can start-
win.
Well, if we can start an emergency fund to send us to Egypt to climb them, I'll be
Yeah.
a bigger fan.
Yeah.
And bailout money once they try and pull us off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to chase it. They're going to catch me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a YouTube moment.
They ain't
Yeah.
catching me.
See, I'm going to deflect them for you guys. So, yeah, I'm going to jail. There's
See-
no doubt.
I'm going to jail.
And that's what we love about you. It's all about teamwork. It's
Yeah.
all about teamwork.
Take one for the team.
Yeah. Saw that coming.
Absolutely.
Why don't we get back to letting the maniacs name the mountain?
Okay,
That's what
no
I'm
problem.
thinking.
All right, guys. Well, one of the things we talked about, and the reason about the mountain for those of you that might be new to the show, is basically what this is there's two sides to your world, your financial world.
Your life is a mountain.
Your life is basically a mountain.
Yes.
All simple.
Everybody's got one hump.
Yep, everybody's got one hump. Okay, so we've got... So make it a good one.
Make it a good hump.
think I'm red.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
Okay.
Okay, back on target. So when you look at this, basically what we have is on as you're going through life, some of you are going to be climbing this mountain, and that's really called retirement planning. And what you do here is you're building your wealth. You're putting money into these accounts that you've been told to put money into to save for the future, your 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, all these other things, pensions for those of you that may have them.
Roth IRAs.
Yep, Roth IRAs,
individual
all of it.
account.
Basically anything that's going to be used in retirement. You're building your wealth. And then you're going to reach an apex at this mountain. And that's a transition point where you say, okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. It's time. I put my working years behind me. And now I want to, spend time with the grandkids and
Right.
go travel and enjoy and go, see all the things that you might have wanted to do that you never could before.
That's
You
your
begin
tap
retirement.
out day.
That's your tap out day. Or, for some of you that don't like your job, that's parole day.
Oh, yes.
You made parole.
Tap out, roll. Roll.
It's all good. You made it. And then once you begin that transition, this is the difference. And this is where it gets a little bit more, I don't want to say complicated, just more things to consider. And a lot isn't talked about this, but it's called income planning. And what this is about is we're now transitioning down the mountain, and that's not running out of money because you don't have a job anymore.
Right.
It's done.
You're pivoting to learning, when am I going to be paid now? Because before I was paid on the 1st and 15th, or before I was paid once a month, and now I'm paid, from different sources at different times. And
Sure. Yeah, and all these parts are coming together now. And it was real simple because you knew that whatever expenses you had, you really didn't think about them as much.
right,
Because you were confident in your job. And so you knew that was going to, don't worry, I get paid in 15 days or whatever it is. And then my checking account gets reloaded.
Yep.
Well, now it's different because all the money that you've saved is all the money that you're going to have.
yes,
And there might not be a way to reload that
right,
once it's used. And so you got to be a little bit more cautious on how you make these choices. And you hear this term, fixed income.
yes.
Well, what does that mean? And it means that this is what the check is. This is all you get. That's it.
It's more complicated too, because you should take it out in this way so that your taxes are less, or maybe it's better to take it out in that way. I mean, there's a different flow to it altogether.
Yep. And everybody, I wish everybody was the same, but
it'd be much easier.
it'd be so much easier. But they're all different.
Mhm.
Everybody's gonna have different situations. Your neighbor might, what do they call them?
Water cooler advisor.
Yeah, that's it. The water cooler advisor.
Yeah.
Where your neighbor is telling you this is what I do.
Uh-huh.
The problem with that is they are speaking from the heart. They care.
Oh, yeah, they
I mean,
do.
don't get me wrong, but they
They
don't know
have skin in the game. But
exactly.
They are talking from the heart.
Yeah. The advice they're giving, as Gail said, that there's no repercussions if they're wrong.
Right.
First of all, and the other thing is they don't really know your personal picture, and you don't know theirs.
It's true.
So they might have picked something that works for them in their world.
Yes.
And that's where the danger comes in. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And there's so many variables. How long are they going to live? Is your wife and or the husband and wife the same age, or are they far apart in age? I mean, I'm only talking about a couple things. There's so many more.
Just a certain thing. And we know that, families, just because of different lifestyles, they're having kids at a later age.
True.
And so sometimes they might already be transitioning to retirement, believe it or not, as their kids are beginning college.
True.
We've seen that, and it's just, and is that right or wrong? No, it just is. And these are all little components
all
to
different,
consider,
right?
Than somebody else. And so, but as we go through income planning, and one of the things is now, what are all the things that could affect our money? And how long it could last. And these are things that need to be considered. Would taxes go higher? In your lifetime, could taxes go higher? Like you said, we're living longer.
Right.
Inflation, things getting more expensive. Having another financial event, whether it be a 2008 or a pandemic event like we've had, or another war.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you bring all these parts together and pieces together, so it's okay?
Exactly.
regardless of those things happening. And that's what we're trying to do
Right.
with a lot of families. And so here is, with all of that being said, that mountain, what do we call it? And that's kind of what the $25 gift card is about, right,
That's
Gail?
right. That's right. So if you will put in the comments, get creative. Yay! Get your creative juices going, because we want you to go ahead and name this mountain, Money Mountain, whatever you want to call it, so that win your $25 gift card if we pick your name.
So as we go through this, that's kind of the essence of, and really the foundation of, one of the foundations of our show is that trying to help families navigate these things.
True.
You know,
Oh, by the way,
what's up?
we're gonna let you know who won that next time. So you'll have to come back to the next show to know who won that.
So right now, and Pyramids of Giza can't win it, right?
No, because he's part of JP Cap in the cruise.
Okay.
But,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a really good.
goes out
The
there.
disclaimer.
All employees, contractors, or affiliates with JP Kathy and the Crew Network cannot win these prizes.
Okay. So, all right.
But the
Sorry,
Maniacs
guys.
can.
But the Maniacs can, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what? Now we're gonna do this. What, next week? You said?
We're going to announce the winner.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay. I can't wait.
$25
I
gift
can't wait to
card.
see. I can't wait to see what the names are. That come
Me
in.
too. I'm excited.
So one of the things that we were talking about, and as we go through this, is the cash flow. You know,
Right.
just understanding. Now, as we go through this, we're going to get more and more and more detailed, you know, and maybe specific things to kind of help other people. And that's why I said, as we talk in these more broader terms, if you have any specific questions, just go ahead and, you know, type them in. And if we can't address them on today's show, then we'll go ahead and, you know, we'll do
We'll
it.
address them next time.
Yeah, we'll address them next time and do our best, because each one of you that are listening are going to be at different stages on this mountain.
That's true.
You know, it's depending on where you're at, and depending on where you're at, it'll depend on the questions that we have, the best way to answer them. So as we look at this, one of the things that we left off, what was it, last week,
Mm-hmm.
was this tank system. And there's so many things in this. And you know how, Gail, they always say like a picture's worth 1,000 words?
Yes.
You know, and it kind of like, I kind of like that, you know, because it's a very nice visual thing to see, you know, not just talking about money. You know, that's the math and the spreadsheets and the calculations and all this other stuff. Some people love it. You know, a lot of people don't. I mean, it's just, you know, it's like a necessary evil, but I don't really want to learn it. But
Right. So this is an awesome pictorial to help people picture it
Mhm.
rather than, you know, spreadsheets and actual numbers. And,
Yeah. Just kind of see where you're at,
Yeah.
you know, and to stay, you know, more like a 20,000 foot view of what's going on. And I also like it because I think it conveys why we ask the questions we do,
Absolutely.
you know, because I don't know about you, but, you know, yeah, you can tell me to do something, and I'll do it, you know, but if you tell me
Really?
why, well, for the most part, okay, we'll skip that. 85% of the time, if you ask
I'm
me,
writing that down. We have it recorded.
75% of the time, if you tell me to do something, I'll do it. I guess no.
Now he's backtracking.
Okay, 65% of the time, if you tell me to do something, I'll do it. So, but anyway, what we're trying to do,
100% of the time.
45% of the time, if you tell me to do something, I'll do it.
I know I'm just a humble engineer, but I think these numbers are going up.
That means I need to be quiet.
Is that what that means? I'm just checking. I could certainly use
Because it
relationship
went from like
advice.
100
So
to
I'm
45.
So that's how that works, Steve.
Yeah, well, what was I talking about again?
I don't know,
No,
but
you got it.
I'm going to go back to
You're
engineering.
no good at engineering. No, but no, but what we've learned as we've talked to people, as you know, and it makes sense, is if you tell them why we're doing something,
Yeah, it's important.
it's just not what you're doing.
You need to know the why.
But why
Mhm.
is it there? Because then you can embrace it more.
Right.
And understand that you're part of the process. You're kind of involved with it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of why we kind of put this together and kind of showed people. And as we go through this, and I want you guys, as we're going through this, each one of you is going to have, you know, a different cash flow pattern.
Sure.
But think about what's important to you and how this works. And maybe that'll help you also be able to ask some questions, you know, on how you fit in this whole thing. And again, this is just a general life view. And, you know, we ended last week's show talking about this as a cash flow pattern, but, you know, I don't care how old you are, you know, whether you're 25, 45, or 105. Like we said, it's just cash flow. You know, how much money's coming in the door. And that's what this main tank represents, is money coming in the door. And before we get access to it, there's the IRS. You know, there's the taxes. We always got to consider that. And, you know, one of the things that is, I hate to use drastic words like concerning or something, but just to be aware of, especially with taxes and what this pandemic did.
Oh.
You know, we in 3 weeks, I mean, it's just part of budgets. You know, you make so much, you spend so much. Well, the country spent in 3 weeks $6 trillion.
Right.
And these numbers, I'm sure you'd agree,
They're
are so
astronomical.
you can't even wrap your head around
Yeah.
it. You're just like, what's a trillion here or a trillion there at this point? You don't even care. And but remember when we told some families that they were trying to wrap their head around it, what we said was, in 3 weeks, this country spent the equivalent of what we spent in the entire war on terror from 2001 to today.
Right.
The same amount.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
And we haven't paid that bill yet.
No, we have not.
And so, you know, you look at these numbers and that bill has to be paid. And, you know, how do you do that? And, you know, one way, there's really two massive ways to pull this off, you know, in general. And one is raise taxes.
Right.
Okay, we know that one. And the other part is to grow your way out of it.
Yep.
And that is, one philosophy would say, okay, government, get completely out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let the United States and its entrepreneurship power, and this isn't political, this is more, and I don't want to get into the political part of it, it's more the economical part of it.
We'll leave the politics
Yeah,
to JP
yeah.
Caffey and the
We'll
crew.
leave that for someone else. This is just the math. This is just the math.
You're wise to let me jump in that part.
Yep.
But I do have a question about the math, if
Sure.
I may.
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
As an American, as an individual even, how can I get into the safe tank if I'm deficit spending?
Interesting question.
That is interesting.
I mean, is there a way to save and deficit spend?
Well, you mean like as the country or as an individual?
Well, both, right?
Okay.
I mean, because if the country is deficit spending, I'm deficit spending in my tax world.
Right.
But a lot of Americans follow the same suit. You know, they'll use credit cards or who knows, but maybe home improvement loans to buy other things, or rather than improving their home, right? So is there a way to deficit spend and still be in the green tank?
There is a way to possibly
Very
do
difficult.
that. Yeah, very difficult right now to answer that. But there's a specific strategy that could be utilized to deficit spend per se. That we'll probably go over on a next issue. But yeah, because it takes time to build up that reserve first. But in general, if you're using credit cards or loans to pay this off, and we all know, you know, being in debt.
Yeah, the only way to do that is make more money.
Yeah.
Which is basically what we're saying about the government.
Exactly.
Government
So
needs to
how do they bring in more revenue to pay the taxes off?
We need to grow our way out of it.
Yeah, one way would be to just unleash American entrepreneurship, deregulate as much as possible, let Americans do what they have been known to do for 2 centuries. Are there problems with that? Of course.
Yes.
You know, that's one. And then so much revenue would come in, you could pay it off. The next part of it is another philosophy is, well, we just need to raise more taxes.
Right.
And that has its own negative impact, because at a certain point you're like, well, why am I working if I'm just trying to pay taxes?
Right.
You know, and so that has its own problem.
As with anything, it's probably a combination.
A blend.
A blend.
Yeah, it's a hybrid, you know, of bringing that balance. Because if you...
But do you think the Fed need to do anything?
You know, with the Fed, they've pretty much done almost all they can.
I agree.
You know...
what about these negative interest rates that we're hearing from other countries?
Well, hopefully we don't fall into that trap. And I don't think we are. That's when you get into negative interest rates. Imagine you go to the bank and you put money in, and you actually lose money on the deal. That's
Explain that.
Well, with a negative interest rate, I give you $100 and you pay me minus 1%.
Right.
For that $100. Why would you even do that?
Why
How does
would
that
you
even
do it?
work?
Exactly.
How does it even work? And so, as they said, it's probably going to be at zero, which is why you're not going to find, grandma and grandpa aren't going to find the CDs.
Right.
Your money market checking accounts aren't going to be there. What's the good news? Man, those home loans are cheap.
Very.
So
They're cheap now.
car loans, all
Right.
that stuff. Yeah. Lock that stuff in. There's an upside to it. But, that's why we need to consider taxes. Would taxes go up or down? But, regardless of, again, don't even make this stuff political. It's not. It's just whatever side you're on, it's just something to be considered in your financial flow.
Correct.
Taxes being paid.
Right.
We want to pay as little as possible. I'm as patriotic as the next guy, but I don't want to pay more than I do.
Exactly.
So working through that, and then, money will go out the other way.
So let me just interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
You are watching you're watching Moneylinc, brought to you by Interlinc Financial on JP Cathy Crew Network here at Venture X. And we are happy to be here this morning.
Ecstatic.
That seemed a little facetious.
No, okay, no, we're good. We're good. No, we're good. No, again, I hadn't got my morning coffee, so we're in. So no, when we look at all these things, and this is one of the things that we were talking about, Gail, when we talk with people, is what are all the things that provide income, for families.
True.
And for most of us, it's just a job, your salary. Other people, pensions, Social Security. We talked about that. And then, investments, saving for the future.
Exactly.
401ks, IRAs, all these things. And then that's where you get into this stuff with the stock market. It goes up, it goes down, it's sideways, what is this thing going to be? You talk about all these different recoveries that, as we go through this, who knows? But the bottom line is, how do you protect yourself, as best as possible?
Right.
But not be so safe nothing happens.
Well, true.
Yeah. Where's that all come into play? And we talked about that and guys, as you look at this stuff, as we say, if you can lose money, just stick it in this tank. Just keep it simple. Don't get into diversification and all that. I always say you can lose money in the stock market. We already know that. Bonds, you can lose money in bonds. They're not bulletproof. So they go there too. Real estate. Yeah. I mean, how many people have we had come through our office that, bought a land development deal?
Right.
That they thought it was going to be built up around.
Or even rental homes.
Rental homes, and it just didn't work out.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the things about these shows you see on TV. It's like, do you ever notice they never lose money hardly on those flipper shows?
I have noticed that.
It's just, no matter what, it always works out. And I was like, man, I need to do that. But there is risk to these things, and, levels of risk. And so one of the things that we'll never leave away, regardless of, who's in office, presidents, congressmen, senators, world leaders, all that's going to change, over our lifetimes. We'll be upset at the moment, whether or be grateful of whoever's elected at the moment. But one thing's going to be a constant, and that's things getting more expensive.
That's right.
And and sometimes our paychecks don't keep up with it.
Lately they haven't been.
Yep. And especially when you're on that income side of that mountain, they definitely, sometimes there's a lot more pressure to keep up with things getting more expensive.
Absolutely.
And so that, without a doubt, don't get lost in the weeds. This is your number one enemy over time. Hands down. Would you agree?
I would agree. What interest rate do you look at for inflation?
Well, for us, I mean, mostly about 3%. Yeah. And I talk about this, when we teach the classes and stuff that we do on the side, but whatever the government says inflation is, add a number to that. Add another 1%. Well, here's the thing that people didn't realize is, when you look at inflation, the cost of living adjustment,
For Social Security?
For Social Security, you know, or for whatever. You know, they're going to use the same level if government gets a pay raise or pensions or Social Security.
Government pensions and Social Security,
or even
right?
some pensions, private
That's
pensions
true.
will have...
They'll just go with the government says.
Yeah, it'll be tacked on to whatever the cost of living is.
Right.
And so here's the thing that happened. You remember there was a Federal Reserve chairman, his name was Ben Bernanke. And, you know...
How do you say it?
Bernanke. Not Ben Bernanke.
Alan Greenspan.
Yeah, Alan Greenspan. Thanks. See, that's why
Ben
we have...
Bernanke was
Yeah,
later.
he was after 08. Yeah, he was Alan Greenspan. And see, that's why we have 2 advisors on the show, people. So, right there. So this is why there's a backup to the backup to the backup. See? There
I was
it is.
wondering why you pulled out Ben Bernanke.
Because...
I'm just an engineer.
okay.
I'm not a backup to a backup to a
Okay.
backup.
We got a backup over here. So
we do. Oh, okay.
so-
My bad.
Okay. So...
I'm so happy to be your backup.
No. And she's taking the lead. We're there.
All right, so we have Alan Greenspan. Go ahead.
And what did he do? Do you remember? What did he do during the Clinton administration?
He went to Clinton and
Uh-huh.
he said, "Hey, Mr. President, I have a new way to come up with inflation."
Uh-huh.
Right?
That's right.
So let's take out, what was it? Food
Yep.
and what was the other
Gas.
thing? Food and gas. Let's take food and gas out of the equation. And then inflation won't be as high, so we won't have to give as much of an increase to Social Security and all those government pensions.
That's right. And traditionally, what are the 2 things that go up? Food and gas.
Yeah.
So now they don't, and they're thinking about changing the number again. So that's why you really want to add that, to it. And that's how we look at it.
Right.
You know, because of those kind of things is, you know, whatever the government says, it's probably going to be a little bit more. And that covers you.
Right.
And so, but because of low interest rates, what we were talking about, what the Fed did and all of that stuff, it affected our checkings and savings accounts.
Yes, it did.
I mean, anybody out there, you know, getting 2% like on your checking account
No.
and it's legal?
No.
It'd be great. Let me know. Call in on the Maniacs if you
Let's
if you
make
just
sure
have
it's
that.
legal.
Make sure it's legal first. Yeah, we'll do that. But, you know, and you would be ecstatic to get 2% return.
True.
Um,
Which is sad.
Yeah, which is sad. So you're roughly, you'd be lucky anywhere from 0.5% to 1%. It's going to be there for quite some time.
But you do get happy when you go to refinance your house or
Yep.
because
Yeah.
same thing, interest rates.
Interest rates, because now you're at 3%. I mean, it's practically free money.
Right.
You know, when you go through that, when you're talking about those loans, because, you know, and for some of us might not remember, but, you know, back in the 80s, you know, 30-year mortgage was, you know, 15, 18% for a 30-year
And you were
mortgage.
happy to get it.
And you were happy to get it.
That's right.
But you could also go to the bank and get a CD, a 1-year CD that paid 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was different strategies.
They had different strategies to pick
Yeah.
from. Well, you don't have that anymore.
And that goes back to what we were talking about just in general of understanding the game that's going to be played, because, you know, what might have worked for your parents and what they did can't work for you because it's a whole different game.
Right. So when your parents say you need to do blah, 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 well, do you? Because they're used to what they did.
Right.
So, I mean, we've had clients that said,
Oh, yeah.
my parents tell me we just need to get CDs.
Yep. Yeah. And it would be suicidal.
Right.
You know, in this environment. And so when we look at that, you know, what's happening? Things getting more expensive at 3%. Your money's only grown at 0.5%. What's happening to the buying
Right.
power?
In that green tank. Right.
And that's another thing that's happened. And this is
You can't buy as much
yeah.
because of inflation.
exactly. And that's again with all the money printing that's happening. There's more money out
Right.
there. So if there's more money out there, it's less valuable. So there has been some kind of devaluation of that. And again, this isn't doom and gloom, guys. It's not that. It's just understanding the game that's going to be played. And here's what we're trying to do at Moneylinc is just give you some tools to play the game you have. You know, not just say, oh, just, you know, there's nothing to be done. Of course there's stuff to be done. It's just a different way to approach it and understanding all these things. And that's kind of what we try and do, you know, because what's that old adage, you know, you're dancing on the dance floor because you like the band.
Right.
You know, but when the policies change, you can't get off the dance floor. You got to keep on dancing.
Yeah,
you know,
when the music changes.
you don't have a choice. And so we kind of help people out with that. So, and all these little moving parts that are coming together as we look at this and as investments go down and at one point, this is what we're kind of saying, you might just be left with Social Security because you're in that income planning part. And this is why understanding Social Security and the components of it and what's best for you is so important.
Maximizing the amount that you get for Social Security.
Yeah. And
which you can only do before you file.
Right.
Is so important.
Yeah. And all those little rules.
Mm-hmm.
And, and you can elaborate on this when people come to us and say, well, I'll just wait till 70 because that's the biggest check.
Right.
And then what's the damage of that? Possibly.
Well, if they quit before 70 and they have to live off their investments that they already have, they might inadvertently reduce their investments too much. And then all of a sudden they don't have enough for the rest of their lives.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you don't have that augmentation of the Social Security check, this is why it has to be individualized. You have got, you can't just say, I'm going to wait till 70 to get the biggest check because you could inadvertently hurt yourself really bad. And
these are why, and this is kind of where we're going, is why we ask the questions that we do, because everybody's going to be on a different roadmap.
Yep.
And for someone it might be perfect, wait till 70. Other people, devastating. And so, but also understanding what happens in this investment tank, why it's so critical, because if that's making up the difference, since you now no longer have a job because you retired or you don't have a pension, you better be really good in that investment tank to fill up to pay your bills.
Yeah. Better not lose a whole lot.
Yeah. And how do you put pieces in play with that? And then the other thing that we always hear in general, and not that, again, how you approach this is sometimes you might have heard people not really ask questions about, Social Security or your job, whatever that income is. Maybe you're getting it from rentals or all these things. They don't really ask that, not really in depth.
Right.
And they say, well, that's not really important. And they don't really go into how taxes could impact you, both in the short and long term.
Exactly.
And they don't really ask much about emergency funds. They say, yeah, it's important, but they don't really kind of go in depth with it. There are people like this, again, that's just different focal point.
You're talking about like different advisors.
Yeah, different advisors, different financial advisors. And then, and this is understanding there's lots of advisors out there, and it's just understanding what you might be looking for. And they don't really care about inflation, that they talk about it, but not really in depth. And really because they just work in this one area, and that's their focal point.
The investments only.
The investments only. And,
right.
And what they're basically saying is, don't worry about it because I'm going to get you a high rate of return.
And you'll be fine.
Because it'll offset everything else in your financial world from today for whatever.
Yeah, and generally I find those that are just investments only. They say that take 4% off and we'll make more than 4%, so you'll be fine for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But live on 4%.
Exactly. And
that things like that. That works in a perfect world, but this is not a perfect world anymore.
Oh, no. And one of the things we talked about is you're going to hear about rules of thumb.
Yes.
And that was one of the things. The 4% rule is a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And we're really harping on this is it's not a rule of thumb. It's not gospel. It's just a guideline.
Right.
That's all it is. And when we look at these things like that 4% rule, a lot of people don't even know where it came from.
No, they don't.
They just know they've heard it.
Enlighten us.
Well, that came from the 90s, when some economic pontificator guru guy out of Ivy League.
That's a really good word.
Yeah.
Pontificator.
I like that word. It's a good word.
You really had a chance there.
I know. I died on that one. Yeah.
She could have, you could have, yeah.
I know.
You're a good man.
I know.
You stayed right on topic.
I know.
See, Kathy would have had me off.
Yeah.
On JP, Kathy, I'd have been off on that one. Yeah.
No, she got me.
Kathy would take me down a rabbit hole on that one.
It'll be after the show.
Wait.
She'll take me.
I missed that. What was it that I missed?
Oh, no, we don't get to go back.
No.
Oh, come on.
No.
You guys.
You have to watch it in rebroadcast.
Yeah.
No.
Then I'll be, yeah.
The Maniacs caught it, though.
Okay.
Yeah, they caught
I'm
it.
sure the Maniacs got it.
I'm seeing comments come in. Maniacs caught it.
They caught it.
Good luck. Yeah, Coach Quigley, he's all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Next
luck.
time.
Hey, Coach.
Okay, got to go back to you. Sorry.
No.
Engineering. I go back to engineering.
No. No, that 4% rule, which is great, but it worked in the 90s because interest rates were high and you could get a bond that paid 8.
That's true.
So you get a safe bond that paid 8, 9, 12%. Well, of course you're never going to run out of money. Now what do you do? You know, and what the other thing is, you know, coming from the medical side, it's like, why do you get your teeth cleaned every 6 months? You remember that, where that came from?
Yeah, it came from a toothbrush company did that, right? Oral-B or somebody?
Yeah. One of them came up with it and said, how can we get people to get their teeth cleaned more so they use more of our products?
Wow.
And they said, well, 6 months sounds good. And then it hit the lexicon. That was it. So that's why you do it. And all dentists out there that are watching, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. You should go in every 6 months to have your teeth cleaned just for hygiene. But I'm just saying where it came from.
Maniacs, I want you to go to the Moneylinc tree, which is on the screen now. And if you will go ahead and join that, because we need a bunch of maniacs on there. Bunch of maniacs. So this is Moneylinc, brought to you by Interlinc Financial Advisors on JP Kathy and the Crew Network here at VentureX Studio in Frisco, Texas.
And so as we go through this right here.
What? Go through what?
On that.
On
you
what?
know, as we look at this to try and kind of educate.
Teeth?
Yeah. No, we'll pass off at teeth.
We're done with teeth?
We're done with teeth. I guess we're not on helping the maniacs out there.
Oh, helping the maniacs. Gotcha.
So as we go through this, that's my girl. That's my girl. So with this, now, here's how we look at it. And you show this, Gail, as we kind of go through these things, is we actually don't work in one of those tanks, do we?
Well, we work, yeah, kind of. We work in one. We work in 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
work in
all
of them.
Yeah.
But we don't just focus on one.
No, we don't. We don't. And some people like that.
Which is why sometimes we say it's holistic.
That's right. There comes the holistic part, because we're asking to all the tanks, what's that cash flow looking like? What goes where and why? And as you look at advisors, you know, some of them might just focus on one, even though they're called an advisor. And it's just understanding. I mean, they're licensed, they're competent. This is what they work on. But it's like a doctor. I mean, you might be thinking you're going into a general doctor when you're really going into a cardiologist, you know, and you just didn't know.
Right.
It's just that specialized part. And that's kind of why we work through all of it and helping people kind of navigate these waters. And what we'll be doing is kind of going through each component of this and questions that you have. And then we'll always come back to the big picture to see how best to help you kind of go through that.
Right. That's very important.
So on this, what we have here is, that's why I hope in a future guest, one of these things are like what? Wills and trusts.
Right. It doesn't matter how old you are. You need to have a will at least.
At least.
And medical directives, power of attorneys if you need that. You may not need a trust, but you know that it's best for an attorney to look at that to make sure. If you don't have that taken care of, you may be leaving your loved ones in a world of hurt.
Yeah, and we see that. Remember that couple that came in, that will wasn't put in place.
Yes. And
basically the state of Texas was going to determine what went where. And
that's right.
You know, these are things you don't want to talk about, but it's housekeeping things. You got to be in an advisor is going to make sure that happens, and that's why we work with attorneys, and we'll hopefully have him on the show to answer some of those things and the successes that he's seen.
I think the one that the estate planning attorney that we work with said he'd like to come on, so we'll have that at some future show.
Right.
And then I think next time, aren't we talking about taxes and how taxes work in a retirement, that sort of thing? We'll
be hitting that.
Yeah.
You know, on kind of the details of that and
how
all that works.
That.
Yep, going to hit that.
Hit. JP's loving that.
Yeah.
Is that like being at a brew house and you're tapping it?
Gonna tap.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Brew house. That was it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, that's where we're going. It's an adult show.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, it is now.
Yep. We're on YouTube.
No, wait a minute.
So,
Steve and I did not make this an adult show,
so,
madam.
Mom's at home with the
now
kids.
I'm a madam.
Yeah, we are not your normal financial show.
All
So we talk about everything.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we'll be bringing that in and those kind of pieces and see how
Everything?
that
We're bringing everything in?
Yeah, we looked at that, and there was people that one of the things as we look at this when we have these pieces come together is making sure that they unnecessarily avoid any pitfalls just because they didn't know how to ask the questions they needed to.
Absolutely.
And that's really the
It
biggest
also
thing.
educates you to know
Yeah.
like what questions to ask. I mean, sometimes you just don't even know what question to ask.
Mm-mm. And so one of the, and that's what we'll do. We'll as Maniacs put some stuff in there and we'll kind of elaborate on it and kind of, talk about those things and see because, if just one person has that question, somebody else is going to have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So get your questions in those comments. We really do want to answer those next time. Looks like we almost ran out of time here today.
Yep.
So we went over the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
We went over the tanks, which I call them the tanks. It's kind of like your cash flow tank, I guess.
Sure.
Talked about gas. Gas is not that kind of gas, right?
It's a different kind of gas.
Yeah, it's different.
It's unlimited supply. It's
not an air biscuit gas.
No, that's a renewable resource. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is that green? Is that Green New Deal? No.
Green New Deal.
I don't know how that works, but
and Steve s1e moment.
Yeah, we tried that.
Yes, yeah, we're keeping that.
We're keeping that one.
Yeah, and
All right,
we named the Maniacs.
That's right.
I'm loving the Maniacs. That's perfect. And I'll tell you what, we can't wait to see you again this next time when we're going to talk about taxes and retirement, and we're going to talk about Social Security at another time. So we are very, very excited to see you guys again here on Moneylinc, brought to you by Interlinc Financial Advisors on JP Gaffey and the Crew Network, Adventure X Studios in Frisco, Texas, and go to the Moneylinc tree, I guess it's called the link tree. The link tree.
Yeah, we're all looking for the money link.
Yeah, I know. All of us are.
Yeah, let me know when
Me
that
too.
tree comes
Me
up.
too. When you find that one,
small root.
I just absolutely. I'll take a leaf. I'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be
I
good.
think I'll be good.
So yeah, let us know that. Yeah.
So it's linktr.ee/JP Kathy and the Crew. Go there and sign up. We want to see a lot of maniacs in there.
Or forward slash.
Was that a forward slash?
It was a forward slash.
All
It's
right.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
See my glasses.
See, I jumped on it.
You did.
I did.
Wow.
I did. I was there.
That's what happens when you're married.
So I was there.
I like it when he jumps on me there.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Things that we have here on the show.
And the live studio audience thinks it's funny too, evidently. Well, and again, though, so naming the mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pyramids of Giza.
You like that one?
Yeah, but I just can't win the $25.
No, you can't.
I can't.
I want to see what they come up with. It'll be good.
Yep. We'll see.
And you guys are on Thursdays from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. How exciting is that? And how can they get a hold of you, Gail, if they're wanting to ask more questions about all this financial management and financial advising?
Sure. So you'll call 214-778-5645.
214-778-5645.
Or you can email me at Gayle, Gayle, at interlinkfinancial.com. Interlinc has a C at the end.
And that's Gail at Interlinc with a C, financial.com.
Well, I'll tell you, I have completely enjoyed, from my standpoint, JP the engineer on the JP Kathy and the Crew Network, having you guys on, and what great information. I've got people that are buzzing my phone right and left and saying, thank you for having these guys on. So Steve and Gail, thank you for the countless hours that you have spent to get this ready to go live on our network.
It's our pleasure.
It's been
We're
a pleasure.
excited.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Every week,
Thursdays,
Thursday
7:30
morning,
to 8:30 a.m.
7:30.
Yep. And the best way to get us is on Linktree. Well, I guess it's time to go home.
I guess so.
Another show in the books.
Another
Become a
show
maniac.
in the books. Here we go.
See you next week.
Advisory services are offered by Interlinc Financial Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Texas. Insurance products and services are offered through Interlinc Financial Advisors, Inc. and Texas Family Insurance, Inc., an affiliated company right here on JP, Kathy, and the Crew Network.
You say bye.
Oh,